I'm at 16 Bellemonte Avenue in Lakeside Park, Kentucky. Doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. I'm looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that may be of concern to the buyer. Our access point is a floor clean out in the very rear of the basement. There's a stack a couple feet away. There's also a bathroom in the front left corner if you're facing the house, so it would all come back. So we are limited to how much of the line that we can inspect. In most cases, I haven't checked 100% yet, but most of these cast iron cleanouts have sweeps on them. So it does limit our ability to inspect the interior lines. Now, I'm going to take a look at this because I do believe there's a sweep, but there's a lot of buildup in this. And so there may be a way that I can go backwards. But this thing is completely full of mud. I'm going to try to go backwards and see if I'm able to. There's a lot of mud right here. Right here at the base of the clean out. So I'm going to try to run some water and see what's coming through here. See if it's just because I believe the house is vacant. And so we're going to run some water through. I'm going to pause the video to see if we can run some water. Okay, I think we finally got some water flowing through here. I'm hoping that this will at least soften this up a little bit, and so I can get the camera to go one or both directions, because this is very, very full of debris, as you can see. And so there is some flow here, but I'm trying to see if we can go backwards first. Looks like I'm starting to get a little bit of I've gotten through there. I'm going to try to see if we can get enough water in here to break it loose so we can get this to drain and see what's going on. So what I may have to do is push as far as I can upstream, and then turn the water off, let it drain down, and then go from there. Because it seems like there's a blockage right here near the clean out that is causing the buildup along the entire length of the pipe, it seems. There's really not a whole lot of flow this far upstream. Looks like I'm in the floor drain. And so there's not a whole lot of flow coming back this way. Looks like the downstairs bathroom has not been used in quite a while, and so that may be the reason why you have so much debris in this line, like mud and stuff along the bottom. Could be stuff getting into the floor drain. We're going to pause the video for a second again, try to let the water drain down a little bit, and then we'll go from there. Okay. It's going to take quite a while for this to drain. I'm going to have to see if we can pull back, see how well we can see as we pull back. Just due to the line is cast iron, which does have a limited lifespan, but looks like this is all open. There is a Y in there to the left, which was most likely the toilet. at that back bathroom. Like I said, most of this has not been used, looks like, in quite a while. Cast iron itself looks like it's in pretty good shape. It's pretty open, and this is probably caused to this by this slowly backing up. You can see the toilet paper, and it all seems like right now it's right here next to the clean out. You can see how stuff is just falling closed as I pull back. The good thing is you can go both directions. Okay, so now we are in clay. The line is holding. Hopefully what we'll be able to do is as we get back, we'll be able to get some of this mud out of here at the base of this clean out and get some of this water to drain down, because obviously I'm unable to see what's going on from about 15 feet back to the clean out. A lot of that has to do with, I think, how much this is holding mud right here at the entrance. And so I'm trying to get this to kind of go. There we go. I think I've gotten a lot of this loose. As you can see, it is starting to unleash, which is what we want. So there may be something right here by the clean out, some root intrusion. You can see all the earthworms if the dripping stops. So there may be a break right here by the clean out, but I don't know if you can see that. There's an earthworm or a night crawler right there. There's a lot of mud in here. So we want to try to knock this stuff and get it on out of here. And it is actually opening up. So we need to try to get some of this stuff out of here. It looks like a lot of it is draining down now. It looks like right there. So we're going to see if we can do a little bit more through here, get this to drain out. I think it's right here by the clean out. Let's see, we're actually right here next to it. Yeah, there's some root intrusion right inside this clean out. So I'm going to pause the video one more time, see if we can run some water in that front bathroom. I don't know if any of those fixtures are even turned on at this point, but we're going to check that. That way we're going to see if we can push a little more water through this line and flush it out. Alright, we're trying to flush some more water through it. But I think actually I'm going to see if we can get the possibly try to run some water. Upstairs maybe. Looks like the line's flowing a lot better. I just need to get some of this loose. Get all this. So what we need to do is basically get as much out of here as possible as you can see how sludgy it is. But we need to, and that's because the line has been blocked and there hasn't been a whole lot of flow back upstream, and so we need to get as much flow as possible so that we can flush this out. So far it does look like the line is okay structurally, except for right here about 6 feet. There's some major root intrusion, and it's hard to really see. It looks like it's right here at the base of this clean out is where all the roots are, and so that's where everything is catching. And I've poked a hole in it with my camera, and so I'm trying to knock as much of it loose so that we can get some good flow and then be able to go upstream and see a little better. But I'm going to go downstream right now. We'll go ahead and inspect the line out to the main. Right now, again, it looks like the stuff on the interior is good structurally, with the exception of the stuff right there next to the clean out. It looks like, and there is some root intrusion in the first connection going out. So what we're doing now is just trying to flush this line out the best we can, so that we can kind of see what's going on. Here's some more root intrusion here at about 13 feet. So kind of expecting to have a little more root intrusion. We'll see if we can make it all the way out to the main. And then again, we'll have to turn that water off, let it drain down. Right now, I'm having a hard time seeing anything just due to the amount of debris and stuff in the line. So there's probably a little bit of root intrusion at a couple spots, and it's holding water. All the way out to the main. Then I'm going to turn this off, and hopefully it drains down enough to where I can see well enough to be able to inspect the line for any structural issues. But just because of how dirty this is, it's like a pretty hard turn. Hit the edge of an offset and a connection. Just hitting the edge of a connection, that's all it is. And it just will not make that turn. It may be where it drops into the main, but I may end up having to put a standoff on the camera here to be able to see what's going on. It looks like at the bare minimum it's going to need to be, the line's going to need to be cleaned, treated, but I'm going to pause the video and see if we can let that water run down a little bit. Alright. So, we're at 53 feet, and I have it's really kind of frustrating because I'm right there, and I think I'm right at the main. You see the this is exactly where it dumps into the main, so. But I'm going to go ahead and pull back. We're about 54, 53, 54 feet. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull back and we'll see how well we can see all this. Did seem to be some root intrusion, so 47 feet. So you can see that one where I pulled back and there was something that moved off of there. And I have a little bit of resistance here, so I expect the roots to kind of fall closed there. About 40 feet seems to be the worst. So this will need to be cleaned. Yeah. And you can see how much water it's holding. Just a ton of roots at about every joint, which is about every 3 feet with clay lines. And so what that does is it makes the line hold some water, so it makes it a little bit harder to see what's going on. Root intrusion is very normal for clay lines, and so this isn't anything strange to see on a line this age of this material, but most of the time, all you have to do is get it cleaned, and then I recommend using like a root. You can see how much of the line is. There's a hole there in the bottom center, but what I'm going to recommend is an initial cleaning, and then maybe a yearly treatment of Root X, a chemical. You would need to clean it first to allow that to work well and get in there. And you want to clear all the roots first before taking occupancy, just because I'm surprised. It looked like this was getting to the point where it probably would have backed up into the basement shortly. Actually, it may have, depending on which one is lowest. There's a shower in the front left corner of the house if you're facing the house. And so I think I've got it open, but you can see right here also at the base of this cleanout there's a large amount of roots, and I've actually pulled some back on my camera just from pushing through. So I'm going to attempt to put this a little addition onto the front of the camera, see if we can get through those roots. I may have some issues getting this little standoff through, but I want to make it just to verify that we are at the main. If I can get past that like 53 foot mark, it would be nice. But like I said, at the very minimum, this is going to need to be cleaned to remove the roots. And so we'll see how far we can get with this attachment, because what it does is it's kind of like a star on the front end of the camera, and so it makes the camera, its footprint, a little larger, so sometimes it makes it more difficult, especially with all these roots, depending on, you can see, they seem like fairly thin curtains and very small roots, and so I don't see any major damage to the line. In fact, looks like I'm breaking a lot of this stuff loose as I'm pushing through here. But it looks like pretty much the entire length of the pipe. Looks like it kind of S-bends, and then this is probably where it drops down into the main. Okay, this is further than we got last time, so that's good. This may be the end of it. This may be, the roots may be so heavy right here that we can't get through. Yep, there's a large amount of root intrusion right there. You can see how the water's backed up. I was hoping to be able to get a hole in it and get on down there, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So I'm going to pull back. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to locate where this is, and then we will we'll mark that, and then go ahead and pull back, see how close we are to the main back there, and then we'll go ahead and pull back and finish the inspection. Okay, so we're about 7 feet off the main. This is as far as we're going to get. I put some green paint on the ground, and that is it. I'm going to go ahead and pull back. I'm going to take a look at all this, but yeah, so that was what? Make sure that was about 62 feet. This is as far as we can get. Turn the transmitter off here. Make sure that the camera lens is rinsed, and I'll turn the transmitter off for the locator so we can see a little better. Okay. So, and there are permanent solutions for this. You can clean it and maintain it over the years. Like I said, the chemical treatment usually handles it once a year or so, but I would get another inspection after about 5 years just to kind of get an idea of how fast the roots are growing. Permanent solution to this would be either lining or just flat out replacing the line. This would be a good lining candidate just because it is in good structural condition, it seems. It is open and holding shape. Obviously, there are some gaps in the connections which do tend to happen. But you can see pretty much the entire length of this. It's getting in, and they're getting in right at the connection, and they're finger roots, so they don't look large enough to have done any major damage to the pipe, but you want to go ahead and have it cleaned, and then a lot of times they can inspect it. After the fact, so that they can get a look at make sure that there's nothing past that 62-foot mark is all that I'm really worried about. Most of this stuff looks like it's in pretty good shape with the exception of the base of this clean out. That's where I think the largest, not the largest, but the most concerning, just due to the fact that it looks like there's a bunch of mud and stuff right here. I'm going to try to go back upstream. You can see how there's just a lot of roots even upstream. And so upstream stuff looks pretty good. I mean, it is holding some, but mainly due to most likely the root intrusion that we found just at about 6 or 7 feet, right inside there. All this stuff is not used at the moment due to the downstairs bathroom, and that's why you can see all this buildup, because there's no water coming through. And then once we get down to a certain point, you'll see where the water comes in. There we go. see where the water starts flowing is right about there. There's the floor drain. See this part right here, about 6 foot upstream, is really heavy, and this is where my camera is, and so this seems like it's allowing roots in right here at the clean out, where the cast iron is connected through the top of the clay. And so again, this will have to be cleaned out right here at the base of this also, and the plumber may have a different opinion on what else needs to be done here, but normally in these situations this can be maintenance. You can clean it, but the roots will come back unless maintained properly. So you can see we're all the way back and we're out of the clean out. So upstream, you just have about the first 6 to 8 feet. Inside the clean out does have some root intrusion, and it is kind of holding a little bit of water. The line is flowing partially. We were able to kind of flush the line out a little bit with the camera opening some of the stuff up. Downstream, we were only able to get out about 62 feet. The main is roughly 70 feet, and we were unable to proceed past that 62 foot mark due to seemingly just root intrusion, but obviously we don't know past that point with it holding water, the condition. So I'm going to recommend a thorough cleaning to get the roots, and a reinspection to check that last 7 to 10 feet of pipe before the main. SD1, a lot of times on these rear easement ones, they don't cover as much as far away from the main. They usually only cover the main, which is not real good in this situation, because they would, if this was in the street, they would maintain a little bit closer, to the house, a little bit more pipe. But at any rate, I'm going to recommend a full cleaning, like I said, a reinspection, and then some other maintenance. Would include chemical maintenance, maybe once a year of some root X, and then another inspection after about 5 years to check the root growth, see if you need to modify the maintenance schedule at all. It looks to me overall that the line is good structurally, it's holding shape, and it could be enough to just do maintenance on it to keep it open. But that tree, very large old tree, will continue to get roots into the line as long as it's around. So that'll end the inspection at 16 Bellemonte Avenue in Lakeside Park, Kentucky.